Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening. My name is Roslan bin Talib from School of Housing, Building and Planning, University Science Malaysia, Pulau Pinang. My paper is in session B. Number is ACE 2076. Presenting in this 19 August 2020 in the 4th of ICACE Conference 2020. The title of the paper is Achieving Zero Defect Strategy, a Quantitative Report adjudicating the most common building defects to look out for. Now, this article will cover the quantitative method approach and 86 people in the industry, in the construction industry, or related in the construction industry or in the built environment, located, most of them located, their office located in the western part of the Malay Peninsula. So about 86 responded in the Google format survey. The literature study, okay. First of all, on the literature study, indicating that certain factor led the defects to happen. And this factor will exist the first time, and it can be repeating and been repeating unless the construction players seriously look into how to avoid these building defects. The review somehow indicating that there are many literature or the journals, papers talking about doing research on most of the building defect on the temperate climate. I think like 4 seasons country, they have a winter, they have a cold country, some hot summer, but very less literature review indicating that study has been done to detect on the defects, building defect on the tropical climate. Okay, now this survey is important to determine a typical defects, whether it's a latent defect, the one that you cannot see it, like the COVID-19, you cannot see your enemy, then this is the defect that you cannot see, a latent defects, like a COVID-19 defect you cannot see. It's happened during construction, as well as there are actually many non-latent defects, which is the defect that you can physically can see, the defects. So in this study, the 7 dependent variables have been identified for the particular case. However, the independent variables that been identified is only one variables, which is on the pattern of the common defects. In other words, the independent variables for this case is on the pattern variance, where it can keep on changing, depend how critical or how bad the condition of the defect will be. Now, using the quantitative method approach to test this particular census, 86 respondents has been identified within the Malaysia industry player, Malaysia constructions industry players, to answer 7 dependent variables using the 5 Likert scales. Okay. For your information, this particular questionnaire is among 65 numbers of total questionnaire categories designed to tackle the whole empirical study of the research. The numerical result has been analyzed using this IBM SPSS version 24 as well as Microsoft Excel, and this will help the research perform the analysis for the research projects. Now, for this study scope, this particular questionnaire has been identified to compare to other due to important concerning of the defect scenario. Once the research question and research objectives together with the research hypothesis has been identified and formulated, the quantitative style questionnaire has been designed to answer the research hypothesis. The democratic survey on the respondent reveals that good and fair combination of consortium players has been kind enough to give response online, as well as from the email and face-to-face interview, and the interview results converted into the Google form format for the transfer collection. Now, the first statistical analysis is on the mean and the SD for the standard deviation for question 11A, 11B to question 11F. Okay, this is on the A is the most common defects, seepage through the CFR, concrete flat roof. B is the common defects on the moisture problem. C on this wall and floor crack. D is this material deterioration. E is on the gutter and rainwater downpipe, RWDP, and the last one, which is F, on the expired sealant. This you can take a look in the paper. The distribution of number of the mean and standard deviation, okay, for each of the cases. And this is the statistics study, all the numbers for that particular things, and is delivers quite a significant better result in the proof that most of the defect occurred through the crack of the CFR, and then the wall and the floor, and having problem with the internal moisture. Okay. However, the least common defects happen is on the least common defects on the material deterioration, the leak RWP, and the expired sealant. Okay, you can look through in the report. This delivers functional just very slightly miss the perfect significant level, which is slightly less good result on the related questionnaire variable issues, but delivers significant better result with less defect, which is good for the practice. Now, as far as the SD or the standard deviation is concerned, which is close to zero, indicate that the data point tend to be very close to the mean, which is like to the average. Okay, so it shows that most of the range, like 0.6, 0.7, this is less than 1, which is considered low, and it shows that the data found out it just clustered close to the mean, which is indicate more reliable and statistically significant. Okay, this is a better statistic analysis result for the analysis study on the variables, meaning that the result of this SD is within the expectation. Okay, next is on the statistical analysis on the reliability test. Okay, is on the 7 items from question 11A to 11F again. Okay, for this test, the Cronbach alpha is the most common measure to use, like this CA method. Cronbach alpha is the most reliability test commonly used when you have the multiple Likert scale questionnaire. So for the statistics analysis having 7 numbers, the R equal to 0.718. You can refer back to the table. Generally shows which is a good and reliable. This means that the closer is reference score 0.7 or 0.8, the more reliable the test measure. Below the if the R below then 0.7 is not really consistent, and the common range is low. Thus, the finding prove that important external portion of building, including the main building material component, easily allowing water to the building, creating construction defects. From this combined alpha, the statistic shows that the main reason why the building have a lot of defect through the water penetrating through the building. Now, the next in the paper, the next item, the statistics analysis using this median, variance, curtices, and range. The same as question 11A to F from this crack CFR, moisture, and so on. Okay, you can take a look of this, all the median, variance, curtices, statistic for each of the things here, and the range. And in conclusion, from these statistics, okay, they have a range from 2 to 5, which is in here. Okay, this indicates that the respondent hugely agree that variance A, C, and B are said to variables are verge of being quite significant and giving positive impact to the study. So this is true that a lot of things happen on the concrete flat roof problem. The C is the wall and floor, mostly a lot of problem with the crack, wall and floor, as well as on the moisture problem. Okay. Now, on this of this what we call this range, it seems like the 6 variables indicating that the defect can happen again. Again, the water play a big role here through the building components as a level A, which is also the strongest statement, where the CFR seepage also giving a big impact. I mean, this is on the variance. Okay, when the variance is 0, it's implying that all the values are equal. So this is not equal. Okay, all right. So the variance is not good. Now, we go along to these curtices. Okay, and the study found out that curtices, excess, and C indicate good defect variable indication in the research. So this is the data that is more extreme than expected. The data come from normal distribution. Okay, and the last one is on the range. Okay, the result on the range, and it somehow is spread of the value of the data set is larger. It's got like 2 equal 4, and 4 as question 11B and 11C. This means it's not a representative of the data as if the data spread is small. So meaning that this the moisture B and this floor and wall crack is the more critical things to look in. Now, the next is on the statistic analysis on the cross-step test on the dependent variables. Okay, you can see the uh, is crossed into the work experience of the people or the industry players, which is having experience for 1 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, and so on, and excuse me, and more than at the end of the group, group 7 is more than 30 years. Okay, is on one the we select the item A, which is the most common defect from the crack CFR. Okay, crack CFR. It seems like from the statistic here, 19 players, industry players, agreed on the 19, which is have 16 of the 19 strongly agree from the cross-tab tabulation. 16 from the 19 of the players experience from 11 to 15. Quite a long, uh, huge time of working experience in this one particular construction industry. So I think this is give a big problem. Okay. We also here have analysis on the chi-square test for 11A also. Okay, on the CFR based on the cross tab above. So you can take a look of this Pearson chi-square test of the 11A of the CFR problem. Okay, this is the result of it. Okay, 86 people been surveyed. The tabulation is a little less, just a little less valid and a little less relevant to study overall. The CFR leakage is versus the working experience scope, but it still shows near marginal significant result comparison and useful for the research purpose. I think it's very useful, even though this the Pearson chi-square test calculated that just a little less significance. Show a little significant relationship for the two variables, a little less significant relationship, but somehow it shows that how critical is the concrete flat roof when about 19 or 16 people from 10 to 15 years experience said that strongly agree that there's a huge problem with the flat roof crack. The next part is on this series of histogram charts analysis concerning two variables, question A and question C. So how these most common defects of the wall and the floor cracks, and you go to the top here, and to your right is the most common defect for the seepage of the crack of the CFR. Okay, the concrete flat roof. You can see here the histogram of how many people agreed at what scale in the Likert scale based on their occupation. Okay, based on their occupation, whether they are construction managers, project managers, facility managers, lecturer in built environment, construction, teaching construction, okay, and architects, interior designers, their occupation. You can take a look at the lower part of the histogram tabulation here. You can see it. You can take a look in the paper. And it's still strong, giving a strong of the X and Y. Mostly the respondent, 86 of them, okay, of the industry peer positively agreed on the variable statements, meaning that there is a relationship between the wall defect and the floor defects, and as well as on the roof, which is the concrete flat roof, meaning that it's complete building envelope of one particular building, for example, from the floor to the wall and to the roof. Eh? Okay, the CFR crank, the wall crank, the floor crank, and it seems like they agreed with all the variables indicate the water penetrate convincingly shown a very uh, problematic in the construction defect sector. Defect, how to look at it at the defect factor. Okay, there's a high evidence that the building defect occurred 90%, 99% from the seepage problem. This is one of the literature studies, and the 1% only, yeah, not from the water seepage. I think it may be overstatement, but it seems somehow that the water seepage problem is the main factor on the building defects, uh, the effect of the building defect, latent or non-latent. So it's very important to design the building external protective layers with the watertight preventive system in mind. Okay, we have created these terms like BLD, the building leakage defects, or BLS, the building leakage syndrome. All these things originally started from the water penetration. Regardless of the 7 dependent variables, quantitatively approved that these identified factors furnish building defects is a major in defects. Okay, I think that's the end of it, of the slide presentation. Any further question, you can refer to me by email or any medium, and maybe you can go through the paper for details. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.